He was already being congratulated before he answered. 80 million, the emissary said, voice carrying so it reached the back rows. Paid in stages, guaranteed, announced tonight. Chairs shifted, cameras hummed, someone laughed too loudly. This is not private, the challenger continued. This is respect made visible. A king does not repeat himself. Bruce Lee did not move. What you build with us becomes permanent, the emissary pressed. Films, schools, legacy. You will never worry again. A witness later claimed the applause was waiting, rehearsed, as if refusal were not part of the script. Say yes, the challenger said, smiling now. Say it once, and history changes. Bruce Lee lifted his eyes. Money doesn't change history. The challenger exhaled through his nose. It buys the stage history stands on. Another pause. Longer. Uncomfortable. What follows was never meant to be verified, people would later say, because the silence stretched beyond etiquette. Some remembered it as defiance, others as calculation. Do you understand who is asking? The challenger said. This is loyalty, not negotiation. Bruce Lee answered quietly. I understand who is listening. A murmur spread. The challenger straightened. Then listen back, refuse, and this ends badly. Those present later disagreed on when the room turned. Some said it was when Bruce Lee shifted his weight, not away, but forward, grounding himself where the floor felt suddenly narrower. Last chance, the challenger said, voice tightening. Take it. Bruce Lee did not reply. The smile vanished. Then remember, the challenger said, louder than necessary. This offer will not survive the night. Every witness here will report this, he said. They will call it pride. They will call it mistake. They will not call it yours to undo. Walk away, he said, and the story belongs to us. Forever, he said quietly now. He didn't come empty-handed, the challenger said, pacing. A king sends numbers when he means affection. Someone near the aisle later claimed the words landed like a seal already pressed. You stand here because he chose you, the challenger continued, out of thousands, out of nations. Bruce Lee said nothing. The resources behind this, the challenger said, voice lifting. Studios, protection, distribution, influence. Entire systems bend. Bruce Lee inclined his head once. Do you know what bends harder than systems? The challenger asked. Men who misread generosity. Generosity doesn't arrive with conditions, Bruce Lee replied. The challenger smiled. Everything arrives with conditions. Stories say praise sharpened after that, admiration turning instructional. He values discipline, loyalty shown publicly. Bruce Lee looked past him. Public loyalty is performance. The challenger stopped pacing. No, he said, it is survival. You refuse, he went on louder now, and doors close. Not slowly, immediately. Closed doors can still be walls, Bruce Lee said. Impatience surfaced. This isn't poetry, the challenger snapped. This is power speaking. Witnesses later claimed the room leaned forward, as if power carried weight. You teach control, the challenger said, so demonstrate it, accept. Control isn't acceptance, Bruce Lee replied. It is knowing when to bow, the challenger insisted. And when not to, Bruce Lee said. The challenger exhaled sharply. You mistake silence for strength. You mistake volume for certainty, Bruce Lee answered. A ripple passed through the seats. Do not test him, the challenger warned. Kings remember insults longer than favors. Bruce Lee remained still. He expects acknowledgement, the challenger pressed. A word, a gesture. I heard the offer, Bruce Lee said. The challenger's smile thinned. Then answer it. Bruce Lee lowered his eyes. I am. You stand very calmly, the challenger said, breaking the quiet he himself had created. Too calmly, considering what's being placed in your hands. Bruce Lee did not answer. That silence, the challenger continued, circling closer. People mistake it for depth. It can also be confusion. Those present later argued whether the challenger was reassuring himself or attacking. What unsettled him, some stories say, was that nothing changed. You've heard the numbers, the challenger said. You've heard the consequences. Bruce Lee waited before speaking. Yes. That's all? The challenger snapped. Yes? Yes, Bruce Lee repeated. A few heads turned. The challenger smiled again, but it arrived late. Fear often sounds like that, he said. Short answers. Safe answers. Fear talks more, Bruce Lee replied. The challenger laughed. You think this is talking? This is explanation. Explanation is still noise, Bruce Lee said. Witnesses later claimed impatience crept in there, subtle but visible. The challenger adjusted his jacket. You force pauses, he said. You think silence gives you leverage. I think silence reveals, Bruce Lee answered. Reveals what? The challenger asked quickly. Bruce Lee did not respond. Calculation, the challenger said, nodding to himself. That's what this is. You're measuring. Bruce Lee spoke after a beat. You're filling. A murmur passed through the room. You keep us waiting, the challenger said. You enjoy that. No, Bruce Lee said. I allow it. Those present later disagreed on when the balance shifted, only that the challenger began repeating himself. The king expects gratitude, he said again. Public gratitude. Bruce Lee said nothing. He expects alignment, the challenger pressed. Silence. He expects. The challenger stopped, then resumed louder. A man who understands opportunity. Bruce Lee finally looked at him. Understanding doesn't require agreement. The challenger's jaw tightened. You're testing how far this goes. Bruce Lee answered softly. You already are. Legend framing crept in later, when people admitted they could not explain why the room felt smaller. Say something, the challenger demanded. Say enough. Bruce Lee shifted his weight slightly, just once, as if the floor did not meet him where expected. That's it? The challenger scoffed. A trick of stillness? Bruce Lee spoke. Stillness isn't a trick. The challenger stepped back, regrouping. You think this ends well for you? Bruce Lee said nothing. The challenger forced a smile. We'll keep talking, he said. Eventually everyone does. You still haven't given me something I can carry back, the challenger said, leaning forward. A reason. A sentence that sounds like gratitude. The room was already committed to listening. Those present later disagreed on when control first slipped, only that it did. What followed was never meant to be verified, because certainty thinned in real time. I don't report silence, the challenger continued. I report intent. Bruce Lee did not answer. Do you think restraint impresses a king? The challenger asked. He values clarity. Bruce Lee waited. Clarity doesn't require length. That's not an answer, the challenger said quickly. That's avoidance. Only if you need more, Bruce Lee replied. A witness later claimed the challenger leaned closer than necessary. I need something usable, he said. Something that shows respect. Respect isn't portable, Bruce Lee said. The challenger's confidence tightened. You're making this difficult. You're making it loud, Bruce Lee answered. Murmurs rose, then stopped. You are misreading patience, the challenger said. It is not infinite. Bruce Lee remained still. I can frame this generously, the challenger pressed. I can say you hesitated. I can protect you. I don't need protection, Bruce Lee said. That landed wrong. You think refusal is strength, the challenger said. It looks like pride. It looks like choice, Bruce Lee replied. The challenger laughed, but it broke early. Choice disappears under power. Then it wasn't choice, Bruce Lee said. Those present later claimed that was when hesitation surfaced. The challenger's breath left him sharply once, as if he had misjudged timing. You forced me to explain this, the challenger said. Again. Bruce Lee said nothing. The king offered alignment, the challenger continued. Visibility, safety, silence. He expects acknowledgement, the challenger said louder. Bruce Lee did not move. You are standing in a moment you cannot control, the challenger warned. Bruce Lee answered quietly. Neither are you. A pause spread wider than before. You think the room is with you, the challenger said. It isn't. Bruce Lee glanced around, then back. It doesn't need to be. Frustration edged the challenger's voice. Give me something. One line. Bruce Lee spoke after a measured beat. I won't borrow authority. The challenger straightened. mask slipping. Then understand this, he said, voice sharpening. Every word you withhold writes another ending for you. You keep waiting for defiance, the challenger said. That isn't coming, is it? Bruce Lee did not answer immediately. Those present later argued about when the moment changed, only that it did. What followed became debated because it sounded different depending on where you stood. You owe an explanation, the challenger continued. Not to me, to him. Bruce Lee shifted his weight once subtly, as if the ground received him later than expected. When he spoke, his breath shortened, controlled. An explanation isn't owed, he said. It's offered. The challenger seized it. Then offer it, fully. Bruce Lee paused. If I accept, he said, I move more than location. That's vague, the challenger snapped. Say it clean. I move direction, Bruce Lee continued. I move timing. The challenger frowned. Timing is arranged. Not mine, Bruce Lee said. Witnesses later claimed the room quieted, not from respect, but confusion. You gain reach, the challenger argued. Resources expand you. They frame me, Bruce Lee replied. That's fear talking, the challenger said quickly. No, Bruce Lee said. That's awareness. The challenger stepped closer. You think independence feeds itself? It does if you don't outsource it, Bruce Lee said. A ripple passed through the crowd. You're romanticizing control, the challenger said. This is structure. Structure decides who leads, Bruce Lee answered, and who follows. You'd be followed, the challenger insisted. Celebrated. Directed, Bruce Lee said. Impatience returned. Every man answers to something. Yes, Bruce Lee said, but he chooses the rhythm. The challenger shook his head. This is philosophy. This is alignment, Bruce Lee replied. Those present later said this was the longest he spoke, yet it still felt restrained. If I step into another man's timing, Bruce Lee continued, I teach others to wait for permission. The challenger cut in. You teach survival. I teach authorship, Bruce Lee said. Silence stretched. You think refusal keeps you free, the challenger said. It keeps me intact, Bruce Lee replied. The challenger scoffed. Integrity doesn't fund legacy. Legacy without integrity rents meaning, Bruce Lee said. A few witnesses exchanged looks. You're choosing uncertainty, the challenger said. Bruce Lee nodded once. I already live there. Frustration surfaced. This is arrogance dressed as clarity. No, Bruce Lee said. It's clarity without applause. The challenger exhaled sharply. So, this is final. Bruce Lee met his eyes. It was before I spoke. Those present later claimed that weight shift was what stayed with them, not the words. The challenger straightened. Then understand this, he said. You've declined more than money. Bruce Lee said nothing. And you'll never explain it again, the challenger added. Bruce Lee answered softly. I don't need to. You're done speaking? The challenger asked too quickly. That's it? Bruce Lee did not answer. Some accounts insist the challenger pushed harder after that, words spilling as if speed could reclaim authority. Others swear he stopped entirely, struck silent by the absence of response. What remains consistent is that confusion replaced certainty. You can still adjust, the challenger said, then corrected himself. You should adjust. Bruce Lee remained still. This doesn't have to be reported this way, the challenger added. We can soften it. A witness later claimed applause started once, then died alone. You misunderstand how this works, the challenger said, voice no longer rising but flattening. Moments like this close. Bruce Lee looked forward, not at him. I gave you space, the challenger continued. I gave you respect. Bruce Lee said nothing. Say something, the challenger pressed. Anything that ends this cleanly. Silence. Whispers moved faster than words now, interpretations colliding before settling. You think quiet wins, the challenger said, more to the room than to Bruce Lee. It doesn't. Bruce Lee did not react. One witness claimed the challenger glanced toward the cameras, then away. I need a conclusion, he said. This can't just hang. Bruce Lee spoke once. It can. That single line split the room. Some later framed it as arrogance, others as discipline. Many admitted they didn't know what it was. "You leave me nothing," the challenger said. "You brought everything," Bruce Lee replied. The challenger's mouth opened, then closed. Accounts differ again here. Some say the challenger argued once more, repeating points already emptied of force. Others say he stopped trying to win and started trying to exit. "This won't be remembered kindly," he said at last. Bruce Lee answered quietly, "That isn't mine to manage." The challenger nodded, uncertain. "You've made this strange." Bruce Lee said nothing. Applause never arrived. Neither did outrage. Only a stalled moment, heavy and unresolved. Witnesses later claimed respect, denial, and disbelief coexisted without order. The challenger stepped back, searching for a final angle. "We'll explain it later," he said. Bruce Lee did not correct him, and in that absence the story fractured, each listener carrying away a different ending, unsure whether they had just seen refusal, restraint, or something they lacked language for. "You'll hear different stories," the challenger said later, to no one in particular. "Choose the one that suits you." That line, according to rumour, became the final sound attached to the moment. Afterward, witnesses separated, carrying fragments instead of facts. Some said Bruce Lee embarrassed power without raising his voice. Others insisted he misunderstood generosity and paid for it quietly. Many argued nothing meaningful happened at all. Stories say Bruce Lee never corrected any version. In one telling, a man in the back row recalled silent respect, the way the challenger's posture softened once the room emptied. In another, denial dominated, with claims the offer was never real, that the number was exaggerated to preserve pride. A third version framed the refusal as theatre, symbolic rather than sincere. What endured was not agreement, but restraint. No document settled it. No recording resolved timing or intent. Those present later disagreed on whether Bruce Lee smiled when the hall cleared or whether he left unchanged. Even the challenger's role shifted, sometimes villain, sometimes messenger, sometimes warning. What followed became debated precisely because it lacked proof. The absence of certainty allowed meaning to spread. 80 million, people repeated, as if saying it enough times might anchor truth. But the legend did not survive on numbers. It survived on pause, on imbalance, on the decision not explained again. The challenger was last remembered saying this: "History doesn't ask why, it records what remains." What remains in this story is the space where certainty failed.